Before there was sex, before there was the city, there was just me, Carrie Bradshaw.
Low-key feel like I was one of the only 10 people that watched and enjoyed the show. So as usual, before we begin, let me provide a little background info. For those who are unaware, the Carrie Diaries is an American comedy drama TV show, heavy on the drama, light on the comedy, that aired for 2 seasons on the CW from 2013 to 2014. It kind of served as a prequel to the HBO series Sex and the City, based on the 2010 book by the same name. But because details of this Carrie's backstory doesn't align to the Carrie we got to know in Sex and the City, most people don't really consider it canon. Having watched both shows, I'd agree that, yeah, I don't really feel like this is the same person. I mean, you could argue that people grow and people like change as they get older, but I kind of get their point of view. Like, for example, in Sex and the City, Carrie's dad leaves when she was young, and she doesn't have a younger sister. But in the Carrie Diaries, her father is widowed, and a younger sister is called Dorrit. Also in Sex and the City, Carrie tells the story of how she lost her virginity in the basement on a ping pong table, and Carrie Diaries is quite different. She loses it to her then boyfriend. Personally, I'm not sure what the general consensus is of the show, but I thought it was pretty decent, at least season 1 anyways. But unfortunately, season 2 just wasn't as strong. I did feel like it had potential to explore Carrie after high school and kind of rework the formula, but unfortunately they weren't given that opportunity. I would have liked to see how the storyline continued, but I actually wasn't that pressed about the cancellation, especially because season 2 felt like it kind of dragged. And as typical for like lead female characters, they do kind of get annoying. But yeah, season 1 decent, season 2 snooze fest.
I wanted to be cool, easy breezy, keep it simple.
But that's not who you are.
No. I'm complicated. Maybe even a little weird. I'm totally terrified.
Firstly, let's begin with an overview of the characters, and of course we have to start with our main character, Carrie Bradshaw. We're introduced to her on the first day of 11th grade. We learned that her mum recently died from cancer 3 months before school started. The series mainly follows her. She struggles to juggle her personal life, school, friends, relationships, while balancing her internship at Interview magazine in working in New York in the big city. Bear in mind, she's from Connecticut.
Call me Carrie.
That's your name.
But you always call me Bradshaw. Unless you're mad.
Why do you analyze everything?
Carrie is known to be an overthinker, which can make her very annoying, which is usually the case for most protagonists, so I'm just gonna call it main girl syndrome. She often says exactly what she's thinking and feels, even though sometimes she may regret it. She has a cheery, bubbly personality and always tries to keep a smile on her face through most circumstances. Carrie at times appears to have annoyingly high morals, but it's good because she's not easily pressured by others. Although she talks too much, she does take her time to hear people out, and she's always there to comfort her friends and family when they need her the most. She takes loyalty and honesty very seriously, and she's very ambitious and headstrong when it comes to things she wants. Yet despite her wanting to become a writer, she still has a tendency to pick love over work. This is shown when she denies Larissa's offer to write an article about Weaver because she has feelings for him. She's very close with her father and had a very close relationship with her late mother. Her need to help others shows when she basically takes over as woman of the house when her mother passes away.
Obviously, that's a joke because I'm not mom. I'm your daughter. And you're supposed to be taking care of me.
I would say she has a really nice fashion sense, and she's genuinely a fun, decent character to follow.
Decide to date him, you couldn't stop me.
Over my dead body?
Then we have her father, Tom Bradshaw. When we first meet him, he's like struggling with the loss of his wife, now having to raise 2 daughters on his own. He's very overprotective and very strict, but this is because he loves them so much and he's like scared of losing them. He's a lawyer, but he always tries to make sure he has time for his girls. He tries his very best to be there for them when they need it, but he's also very old-fashioned, especially by the standards of the 80s. He can come across quite controlling at times, but that's just because, again, he's the father of a teenage girl, so he's trying to get it right. And a side note, I don't know if you guys watch Scandal, but he's the actor that played one of the villains in the early seasons of Scandal, and he played that role so well that I just can't look at his face and see the loving father. I just see a sneaky, conniving busybody. Like, this is not the man of someone who loves his daughter. This is the man of someone trying to kill the president and get in the way of Olivia.
It's always been hard for me that you and Carrie have so much in common. But now I realize it's been easier on me because you don't expect so much from me.
Dorrit, that is not true. I want so much for you.
Yeah, but you don't expect me to want the same things you want. So why do you expect that from Carrie?
And then we have the last member of the Bradshaw family, Dorrit. She's Carrie's 14-year-old rebellious younger sister. When we first meet her, she openly resents Carrie for being close with your mother and for not having as much time with her as Carrie did. A significant part of her character when we first meet her is her actively trying to be rebellious by dyeing her hair and wearing too much eye makeup. To be honest, I didn't quite like her at first, but as the series went on, I got to understand her more. We understand she's just a girl who lost her mom too early and she's dealing with a lot of anger and grief, and she doesn't feel like she has anyone to turn to. She feels alone.
And I had Mom. Which means I don't have anyone anymore.
Dora, do you really believe that? Well, it's just not true. Of course you have me. And you are not alone.
I'm cool with being alone.
Her mother was the closest person to her, and when she lost her, she just felt alone and misunderstood by everyone, especially members of her family. So I kind of don't blame her actions in some aspects.
Friends who loved me no matter what.
Then we have Carrie's 3 best friends from high school. There's Maggie, Mouse, and Walter. Let's start with Mouse.
Safety schools are for people who aren't getting into Harvard, and I'm getting into
I
Harvard.
really hope so.
She was definitely one of my favorite characters. She is intelligent, confident, competitive, and an overachiever. She has a tendency to be shy around people who aren't really in a close, tight-knit circle at first. When we first meet her, she's determined to get into Harvard, believing that being accepted into an Ivy League is the most important thing in her life. She soon learns, though, that she needs more than academic achievements to get into Harvard and has to join social clubs, which allows her to be more open and social and evolve into a more rounded person.
Here we go again. The B+ that destroyed my life, starring Mouse.
It did. I'm no longer #1 in the class.
She, like Carrie, is very big on trust and loyalty, and this is shown when she's talking to Maggie after Maggie betrays Carrie. She's also very compassionate and optimistic, believing that hard work will help you achieve your desired goals no matter what it is. She's just genuinely cute and sweet, and yeah, I liked her.
Can't do it.
Hey, thank you.
I don't want to see her vagina, but I'm sure it's very nice.
What I do.
What's wrong? What's wrong? You kissed me.
I thought you wanted me to.
No, I didn't.
Come on, Walt, stop. It's no big deal. I'm sorry. I just read the moment wrong.
Yeah, I'll say. Because I don't like guys. I like girls. I'm not gay or anything.
And then we have Walt. He's sweet, kind, caring, and a great listener. I think he's like one of the closest to Carrie. He's a kind friend you can always rely on. He's always there. In the first episode, we learned that him and Maggie have been dating for a while, but at the end of the pilot, it's implied that Walt is secretly gay, and the series kind of follows him as he tries to figure out his sexuality. We watch as he fully accepts himself as a gay man. Yeah, Walt is just a little sweetheart. I just want to squeeze his cheeks and tell him everything's gonna be okay. Especially when he's kind of rejected by his family for being gay.
More the fact that everyone just ignores us. Except my parents can't afford to buy me in anywhere, so I won't go to college and nobody will really care.
Also, we have Maggie. She's one of the more confident and daring of the group, usually the one to stand up to anyone who comes against them. Especially Donna, who's like the popular mean girl archetype. Though she appears to have a hard exterior, she's actually quite sensitive and vulnerable, which makes her easily to be taken advantage of. This is hinted that it's due to her family upbringing, but we don't quite get enough on that, which is unfortunate. Like I said, though confident, she's also very insecure and uses sex as a way to get attention and acceptance. Despite being one of Carrie's best friends, she continually struggles with feelings of jealousy over Carrie and her life, as well as Mouse's intelligence. Out of the group, she feels as though she has the least to offer and won't end up going anywhere in life, accepting the fate of being a typical housewife with no ambitions or goals. I think in one episode she talks about how she will probably follow in her mother's footsteps and just marry a cop and stay in the same town. She frequently feels ignored and believes that no one really cares about her, despite Maggie's attempts to help her get into college.
The fact is, I sleep with people way too soon. Or people who are just wrong for me and think it's love. Because I totally confuse sex with love, and then I get my heart broken.
I don't know why, my spirit just never really took to Maggie. I'm not sure what it is. I don't know. You know, just one of them characters you just don't like, and you don't have a reason why you don't like them, you just don't like them. Yeah, that's her for me. Also, a reason why I couldn't really like the character that she played in How to Get Away with Murder, because I just wasn't fucking with. I don't know. I don't fuck with her. I don't know why.
Look at you being all protective. You always are when it comes to your lady friends. It's sweet, really. Just wish it'd been for an actual lady.
And then we have Carrie's main love interest, Sebastian Kidd, for most of the series. Sebastian comes from a wealthy family and recently moved to high school after being kicked out from his previous boarding school for being involved with one of his teachers. Sebastian is very caring and tries to be there for Carrie and his friend. He has this kind of needs to protect and be there for people and take care of people. And I think this comes from the fact that he was pretty much neglected growing up. Like, his parents were just barely there. Though he appears very aloof with an annoying, nonchalant personality, he will go the extra mile for people he cares about. He's genuinely very nice and a pretty good listener.
She wouldn't want her parents, especially her dad, to know she was involved with Simon.
Do you not understand what people will think of you?
The only thing I care about is that you know the truth.
He has lots of natural charisma and charm, and his wealth makes things easy for him despite his less than ideal family life. When they are not neglecting him, they just argue and put him in the middle, which is kind of hard for a kid growing up. Unlike Carrie, who processes things out loud and loves to talk things out, he's the quiet type and prefers to deal with things internally, and that tends to be a lot of the issues as a couple.
You're 16? I thought you were just fresh-faced.
Who are you?
This is unbelievable. I have the youngest, hippest intern and I didn't even know it. Fabulosity.
You're not upset?
Are you kidding? I love it.
Lady, who the hell are you?
Larissa Laughlin, Carrie's boss.
And then we have my absolute favorite character, Larissa Laughlin. Larissa is a free-spirited, outgoing style editor at Interview magazine who kind of serves as a sort of mentor to Carrie in New York. She's fiery, she's confident, and she's a party animal who seems to dabble carefreely in drugs and alcohol.
Your life is just so exotic.
Honestly, Carrie, it's like you've never had sex.
Well, compared to you, it feels like I haven't.
Well, you let me know if this bad boy of yours doesn't work out. I've got 40 more I can introduce you to when we next go out.
She's outgoing and she doesn't really care what people think of her, but because of her spontaneous, go with the flow, go with the wind personality, she can be quite flaky and unreliable at times. I think she's a great addition to the cast as she adds that extra spice and spunk to an otherwise small town group. When I was first watching the series as it came out, I wanted to be Larissa. Like, just that, give zero fucks, go with the flow, do what you want, be that bitch. She was that bitch, still gonna be that bitch, and I love her, man.
Go. And Janet, bring me a cappuccino.
It's 1984. Ronald Reagan and shoulder pads were all the rage.
So let's have a dive into the episodes, starting with season 1. As I said earlier, season 1 starts with the first day of Carrie's junior year at high school in Connecticut. I think it's 1984. And all eyes are on her as it's only been 3 months since her mother's passing. The arrival of new kid and her old crush, Sebastian, brings Carrie some excitement. Team up with the fact that she's got a new after-school once-a-week internship at a law firm in New York, which was organized by her father just to give her a bit of difference. She views this as the first step in a quest to leave her small town behind. In the city, she meets Larissa and kind of dips into the exciting world of New York. In the first episode, also as established, Maggie and Walt are in a couple, but they're having a hard time as Walt thinks he's gay. While at the same time, because she lacks physical intimacy from Walt, she cheats on him with a police officer, one of her father's employees, as he's a sheriff. But as she's a minor, she's just basically being abused and taken advantage of by an adult. We also learned that Mouse lost virginity over the summer, and she's been trying to call her crush, but is left all alone in tears when he's not really paying her any mind. The episode kind of ends with Carrie having to choose between going to a dance at a high school or immersing herself into the New York nightlife, and she chooses the latter. Episode 2 begins with Carrie being grounded as she came back home after curfew from the party in New York. Donna, the stereotypical popular mean girl, used this opportunity to make a move with Sebastian and try and keep them apart, as Sebastian, being the new kid, is the hot new thing in school. Sick of losing to Donna, she doesn't want to go down with a fight, so she lies to her father and ditches her sister Dora to hang out with Sebastian.
So you're not mad?
Of course not. I get it.
Phew. Okay, so I'll see you at home. You're okay walking?
Sure. No problem.
We can hang when I get back. I told myself that Dorrit was fine. I wasn't sure if I believed it, but I didn't have time to dwell on it.
Their pool date is going fine, it's all cute until her dad finds her, and obviously she gets in a lot of trouble. Not only is she grounded, but when he finds out that she's with Sebastian Kid, he forbids her from seeing him, without really giving her a reason why. Also in this episode, as Walter's been continually refusing to sleep with Maggie, he decides to break things up with her to try and sort himself out. Back in New York, Carrie and Larissa are getting to know each other more, as Larissa has fallen in love with Carrie's purse that she kind of styled herself with nail polish and wants to do a photo shoot with it for Interview magazine.
Can't do it.
Hey, thank you.
I don't want to see her vagina, but I'm sure it's very nice.
In episode 3, as Tom has banned Carrie from seeing Sebastian without giving a reason why, she snoops to his files and finds some shocking information about Sebastian's past, which he shares with everyone. Basically, as I mentioned earlier, that Sebastian had an affair with one of his teachers. And it's kind of weird how no one really treated him like a victim. But then again, I have to remember it was the 80s, so, you know, the way people thought about things was different. This information, though, causes her to doubt her feelings and things with Sebastian after they share a kiss, because she feels like he's too experienced for her.
You want to kiss like that?
A good teacher.
Until I was reminded of them.
I have to go.
What? Why?
Because I just have to go.
After a while, though, she gets over it and informs Sebastian that she knows about him and his affair with a teacher. And this kind of spuns him out, as he didn't even know there were lawyers involved and it was a big deal. And he decides that, you know, she's too intense for him, so they should take a break and not see each other for a minute.
I realized
This
that...
is gonna happen.
What do you mean?
Us, you and me.
Don't say
Stop.
that.
All this talking and snooping and talking, it's just way too complicated.
Low-key, because they break up and get back together so many times, I'm actually gonna do a counter for both. So here we have one counter for makeup and one counter for breakup. Also in this episode, Maggie tries to get over the fact that her and Walt are just not getting back together, while Mouse goes on a date with Seth, the guy that she lost her virginity to, as he reached out and they started talking again. He reveals that he does have feelings for her and he apologizes for being distant. In episode 4, when Carrie is invited to a Halloween party in the city by Larissa, she decides to invite Walt to keep her company. Carrie is forced to babysit Larissa, who is taking too many drugs and is clearly out of it. Walt finds himself in an uncomfortable position with a male party guest after he kisses him, and he kind of reacts in a questionable way, shall we say.
I'm not here to judge or anything. I've totally been there too. I even had a girlfriend like you.
You don't know the first thing about me. I'm not like you at all because I'm not a fag.
You can't catch me, gay thoughts.
While back in Connecticut, Maggie convinces Mouse to go to Sebastian's Halloween party with her, just to keep an eye on him, as they are still waiting for Carrie and Donna to be together. Mouse and Sebastian end up bonding and smoking marijuana, and almost get in trouble when the cop that's taking advantage of Maggie shows up to shut down the party.
Obviously, I couldn't take her home to her parents.
What happened to her?
She's kind of baked.
Do you have any chips? I really need something crunchy.
This is where we see more of Sebastian's genuinely caring and protective nature, as he makes sure he takes care of Mouse and takes her back to Carrie's house safely, despite not even wanting anything from Carrie. Like, he's not calculated, he's just a genuinely caring guy. Also in this episode, Dora attempts to sneak out of the house, but she fails, and finds out that hanging out with her dad isn't too bad. Also, after the confusing situation in New York at the Halloween party, Walt comes back home, and in a moment of confusion and frustration, he tries to gaslight himself to being straight by having sex with Maggie. In episode 5, Carrie runs into an old friend, George Silver, at an internship, and gets invited to his mother's dinner soiree. At first, she's hesitant to go because of her lingering feelings for Sebastian, but when she sees Sebastian and Donna kissing, she decides, yep, it's time to finally move on.
She tried to kill us. She tried to run us over.
The dinner soiree date thing is kind of awkward at first because she feels out of place with these really rich, stuck-up people. And it doesn't help the fact that George's mom invited his ex, as she still wants them to be together. Things only turn around when she learns who Carrie is, as her and Carrie's mom used to be quite close. And it's supposed to be kind of endearing, but I don't know, because if she wasn't who she would still have not been as welcoming, so it's still not a vibe. So I wasn't really feeling that, not gonna lie. We also see that Mouse is excited to see Seth again, but she worries that her being bad at sex will get in the way, and she turns to Walt for help, which is kind of ironic. Also, Tom loses his wedding ring, which makes him realize that his best friend Harlan might be right about moving on, accepting his wife's death and starting to date again. Episode 6 is a Thanksgiving episode, and we see Carrie get way in over her head when she tries to cook the perfect dinner for her family, just like her mom used to do, as well as trying to make a positive impression on her boyfriend, George, and his father, Harlan, as they're invited to Thanksgiving dinner. With Tom oblivious to the chaos going on in the kitchen, Dora finds new ways to emotionally torture Carrie, as she feels like Carrie trying to make a perfect Thanksgiving dinner is trying to erase the mother and take her place as the new mother of the house. I can kind of understand where she's coming from, I guess, because at first I thought it was a really shitty and mean thing to do, but you know what? She's young.
Dora and I are trying to deal with Mom not being here today. And you didn't even notice, and And now smoke is pouring out and my turkey is ruined, all because I just wanted to have everyone to have a perfect Thanksgiving. Obviously, that's a joke because I'm not Mom, I'm your daughter. And you're supposed to be taking care of me.
With Maggie and Walt back together, Maggie is excited to be invited to Thanksgiving at Walt's family, ready to present herself as a serious girlfriend for their son. But when the topic of college comes up, she realizes that she has not put any thought into her future as she should have.
And have much to be grateful for.
Your mother called. She's very sorry, but she had to change her plans.
For Sebastian, we see as his neglectful mother decides to randomly fly out of town with her much younger boyfriend, leaving him to fend for himself on Thanksgiving. So he shows up to Carrie's house feeling completely alone. And it being Thanksgiving and all, Tom kind of takes mercy on him and lets him in.
I hope it's okay, but his family isn't here.
It's okay. Go on in. We got Bree.
In episode 7, we see that things are going really well and good for Carrie and her new boyfriend, George, despite still having lingering feelings for Sebastian, who is now still dating Donna. Larissa, who is unaware that Carrie is actually a 16-year-old high school junior, offers her a job at Interview magazine. So Carrie must decide whether to make a decision to chase her own interests or follow the path that her dad wants for her. Also in this episode, there's a winter dance, and Carrie asks George to accompany her to the dance to kind of make Sebastian jealous. And it does work for a while, but because she feels distracted by Sebastian kind of interrupting their time together, they leave the dance early. While making out in the back of the limo, George tries to pressure Carrie into having sex with him, and this kind of causes an end to the relationship. And I low-key feel like this was such a cop-out, because they turned George into this creep all of a sudden. Like, he just felt out of nowhere and kind of lazy. Yeah, it just felt out of left field. Like, this wasn't the George they've shown us to be at all. I know I get guys can kind of surprise you like that, but I don't know, I didn't like it. It just felt lazy and cheap.
I want to lose it to someone who thinks he's special. Someone who thinks I'm special.
You're right. Sometimes I forget you're younger than me. I love that you're romantic. And your first time should be special. So, maybe you just take care of me?
Like, this is not the same George we just met a couple episodes ago.
But I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real.
But at the same time, he is Harlan's son, so I guess. But yeah, obviously this causes them to break up. Also in this episode, Miles feels that her romance with Seth, her boyfriend in college, is interfering with her school grades, where she gets her very first B. This caused them to break up, as Seth also admits that the relationship has affected his schoolwork. Maggie is forced to attend the dance solo as Walt is sick. This leads her to seek company again of that creepy cop. She's caught by Donna, who then blackmails Maggie, forcing her to try and get Carrie to move on from Sebastian, as she kind of notices that Sebastian still has some kind of thing for Carrie. Also in this episode, Tom accompanies Dorrit in a local production of The Nutcracker and attempts to bond with her, despite his lack of interest in the arts, as this is something that she usually did with their mother.
I feel weird when we're like alone together. I was only ever alone with Mom.
That's crazy. What about when we would go out for pizza after soccer?
I do realize that was Carrie.
I'm sorry.
Carrie has you. And I had Mom. Which means I don't have anyone anymore.
Dorrit, do you really believe that? Well, it's just not true. Of course you have me. And you are not alone.
They end up having an argument about how she feels alone and misunderstood in the family, and he realizes that he has to try a little bit harder, and this is a step for them to go in the right direction with their relationship. This episode really helped me understand Dorrit a lot more, as prior to this it was just the annoying, rebellious little sister. But like, yeah, I kind of get her now. In episode 8, when Carrie receives an invitation from Larissa to a party in New York, Carrie decides to take advantage of her high school annual senior-junior shut-in to sneak out of the city and have fun. After Sebastian ends his relationship with Donna, he seeks out Miles' advice to help him tell Carrie how he really feels about her.
Just wondering if you're up for an adventure.
What kind of adventure?
Let's go find Bradshaw.
Are you serious?
If Bradshaw wants a grand gesture, I'm willing to give her one.
They chase her to the city for him to profess his love for her, but they miss her, unfortunately. He ends up confessing his feelings the day after, and they kind of work things out and get together. Meanwhile, Maggie refuses to cave into Donna's blackmail and decides to tell Walt about her unfaithfulness before he can learn about it from Donna, but unfortunately she doesn't do it in time. Obviously this caused them to break up. She barely gives him any time to get over it. I'm guessing a couple hours before she swoops in and expresses interest in him. And I guess they're dating now?
Can I let you in on a secret? I've always had a little crush on you.
Really? So now what?
Now you're my boyfriend.
Not gonna lie, we've got to stand a woman who knows what she wants and goes for it. Right? Also, Tom accompanies Harlan on a double date in the city. Everything is going fine until they go to the same party that Carrie's at and run into each other at the club, which exposes Carrie's secret life in the city.
I am a grown-up, and I am allowed to dance wherever and however I want. You, on the other hand, cannot.
And excuse me, don't talk to your daughter like she's a child. She has a life of her own.
She is a child. She's 16.
You're 16? I thought you were just fresh-faced.
I'm so, who are you?
This is unbelievable. I have the youngest, hippest intern, and I didn't even know it. Fabulosity.
When he finds out, Tom is furious, of course, and kind of bans her from going to the city. And Larissa surprisingly doesn't care too much about Carrie being 16. There's also a kind of funny exchange between Larissa and Harlan, which I thought was cute.
You're a lawyer? Why am I always attracted to the buttoned-up, uptight types?
Well, what do you mean she works for you? I knew you had the hots for me. Is this true, Carrie?
Come on, everybody, let's dance.
Great idea.
The episode ends with Carrie giving her dad this kind of speech about how he can ban her from New York and ban her from going places, but he can't stop her from wanting a life of her own and wanting that kind of life. And I thought that was a really nice touch.
You don't know what you want.
But I think I do. And you can stop me from being at interview and seeing Larissa and being in Manhattan, and I can't change any of that. But the one thing you can't stop me from is wanting it, and wanting a life that's mine.
Get her, Jade. With Carrie forbidden from going to New York City ever again due to her being caught with her secret life, she's told to look after Dory for an evening when Sebastian visits. When Dory goes missing, Carrie seeks out Sebastian, the only person that can really help him find her, before her dad comes home.
For not totally bailing on you when you yelled at me?
Yeah, for that. I'm taking care of Dorrit. Taking care of me.
I'm here for you, Carrie.
I know.
They eventually find her as she was basically just doing research for homework. But during the whole situation, they kind of have an argument and kind of break up, but not really. And then get back together once Dorrit is found. So I'm gonna add to the counter. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Meanwhile, Mouse butts head with a popular student called Wes, who took her spot as #1 student in class when she was falling behind with her relationship with Seth. Though having a good time while dating and spending time together, Donna and Walt realize that something isn't quite right. They end up surprising each other by confiding in each other's secrets, with Walt telling Donna that he's confused about his sexual interest, and Donna telling Walt that she has an older brother who is gay. They end up forming a nice, cute friendship, and it was nice to see. Also in this episode, Tom finds himself in uncharted territory when it comes to women, as he's not used to casual sex and women being so open, and turns to Larissa for advice, who is now seeing Harlan.
Come on, darling, what's the big deal? It was a sex act, not a crime.
I'm not talking about this with you. It's one thing for guys to talk about it in the locker room, but not in mixed company.
Racist.
I meant with a woman. It's not like women get together and talk about these things, right? This is a guy thing.
No, women these days, we talk about these things.
After talking to Larissa about life and an interview and Carrie, he realizes that it's a more serious opportunity than he thought, and he allows her to continue the internship.
We have a good time, but we're also making something, saying something. Interview magazine comments on the world, on fashion.
She had a good internship at a law firm.
Carrie Bradshaw, a lawyer.
Damn straight.
You have no idea who your daughter is or what she wants.
I know that she was a good kid before she came to Manhattan, one who had real goals, not pipe dreams.
Just because they aren't your dreams for her doesn't mean they aren't real.
As Carrie's 17th birthday comes close, she's torn between spending the day with her friends and a possibility of losing her virginity to Sebastian, or an opportunity to mingle with New York's literary community at a party invited to you by Larissa.
You're forgetting that you have a mega hot boyfriend that is who you should be spending your birthday with.
Well, yes, he's invited too.
And we're not. You and Sebastian are so gonna have sex. Bye-bye, virginity.
Carrie decides to attend Larissa's party, but after Sebastian drops out, she takes Walt with her instead. At the party, Carrie notices Walt and Bennett becoming quite friendly, and she might have her suspicions, but she keeps it to herself. Sebastian ends up crashing the party and gets drunk, which forces Carrie to drive him home alone in order to avoid causing a scene. On the way home, they kind of talk, and Carrie gets to see the mansion that Sebastian lives in and sees firsthand his unhappy home life. She also meets his vain and selfish mother. Meanwhile, Mouse's continuing conflict with West continues to bring her to her fiery competitive side as she sets out to impress a visiting Harvard alumni in order to land a scholarship that West also wants.
What do you think your chances are? I wish I could say they were good, Mouse. I really do. But the hard truth is you're just another smart Asian girl. You don't have a hook.
I thought smart Asian girl was my hook.
Once upon a time, it was enough. Now we're a dime a dozen. I got in just under the wire.
But this is fixable. All I need is a Harvard-worthy hook. Let's brainstorm ideas.
There's West. West!
Maggie also attempts to get back with Walt, who accepts her apology for being unfaithful. But he refuses and decides that they should just be friends, which Maggie interprets as a sign that he doesn't love her anymore. This hurts her a lot, and then she turns back to the Predator once again. With Dorit in this episode, she goes to a video store to buy a record for Carrie's birthday, but is caught shoplifting. The teenage store clerk lets her off with a warning, and she leaves empty-handed. In the evening, when her dad catches her trying to pass off one of their mother's old records as a gift, she's forced to go back to the store and get an actual gift. At the record store, her and the store clerk, a guy called Miller, end up talking about music and life, and they seem to get on, and she ends up getting her first kiss. At first, I thought it was cute, right? Just because of the way it was all set up.
Has anyone ever kissed you, Dorit?
No.
Can I be the first?
Yes.
But it's actually really gross, because she's like 14 and apparently Miller's 18, and then he even says this before he kisses her, and she looks like a child. It's actually icky. The whole thing is actually really icky.
I hope you like prison food.
Episode 11 is kind of a boring one. It's spring break and Carrie uses the week to try and impress Larissa to secure a summer job at the magazine with pay. She answers Larissa's phone and takes messages to pick up a parcel for Andy Warhol. I think he's like the owner of the magazine. But when Larissa doesn't come into work, Carrie has to take matters into her hands. She pretends to be Larissa and is almost attacked by the package deliverer's girlfriend because Larissa's been sleeping with him. With Walt and Bennett helping her, they eventually get the package and go to deliver it to Andy at this secret underground club, which changes location every week. She successfully delivers it and is congratulated for a job well done. Spending more time with Bennett, Walt tries to understand who he is.
You know, well, you can tell me anything, right?
What if I'm not who I thought I was?
Mouse is doing her best to build her extracurricular to improve her chances of getting a scholarship as she becomes the productive manager of the basketball team. Also, Sebastian and Maggie sees Carrie's dad and making out with the woman and decide to keep it from Carrie. In episode 12, when Carrie accidentally makes things complicated with Sebastian by being weird about being his girlfriend, she tries to fix things by taking him to the Madonna Virgin Tour launch party in New York.
I told you I loved you a week ago. I kept thinking you were waiting to tell me you loved me because you're such a perfectionist.
That's not true.
Then why didn't you say it? Is it because you don't feel it?
No.
Then why?
Because I wanted the moment to be perfect. That doesn't make me a monster.
God, you just can't let anything be real, can you?
But her quest to make it the perfect night makes things worse, leading to yet another breakup. And like at this point, they need to wrap it up because they've broken up and got back together so many times. Sometimes in the same episode, it's like, pick one. Okay? Meanwhile, despite Marcy's best effort to avoid West, she can't seem to deny the romantic connection between them.
I don't get it. You don't like me?
No, worse.
You're repulsed by me.
Worse. I can't control myself when I'm with you. I've been down this road before and I ain't going there again.
Is this because of your ex?
Seth. He was the first boy I ever had sex with. Ever loved.
What happened?
I blew my GPA up and lost #1 in the class to you.
And this is kind of cute. I'm rooting for them because I think they're adorable together, and I'm here for it. Also, Tom has an awkward encounter with the son of his new girlfriend as he spends the night over her place, and he basically shames her for inviting a man over when she couldn't get a babysitter in time, and that's just typical Tom. In episode 13, which is the season finale, we get another breakup and get back together with Sebastian and Carrie. After breaking up for a few minutes, they get back together again. But when Maggie accidentally tells Carrie about them seeing her father kissing someone, she gets mad at Sebastian for not telling her and decides to break up with him. Again.
I don't think that's what he's doing.
You wouldn't understand. Unlike your parents, mine had a good marriage.
We have very different histories.
Maybe we're just too different.
As the school ends, Carrie, Maggie, Walt, and Mouse don't have dates for the prom, so they decide to all go together as a group. Mouse isn't technically single, as she's with Wes now, but she can't go with him because her parents are kind of racist and they don't want her going to the prom or dating anyone who is not Chinese royalty. She's forced to go with her cousin, but after finding out they're actually not Chinese royalty, she decides to disobey her parents and go to see Wes after the dance. So they have like a little cute slow dance moment at the diner.
Walt was never gonna love you in any real way. Ever.
When Sebastian accidentally tells Maggie that Walt is gay, she gets mad at him for lying at her.
You deserve the truth. If maybe we could go somewhere to talk.
Apparently I didn't deserve the truth when you wouldn't have sex with me. You made me feel like crap about myself. You made me feel like something was wrong with me when actually something's wrong with you. I can't believe I ever loved you. You make me sick.
Everyone decides just not to go to prom as it would just be too awkward. Carrie and Walt goes to Larissa's going away party in New York instead as she's moving to Japan for the summer. And at the party, Larissa convinces Carrie to try and make things work with Sebastian. She goes to Sebastian's house, feeling finally ready to have sex with him, but ends up just sleeping over as Sebastian feels bad for what happened with Maggie. Basically, earlier, they ran into each other and started talking about things, got a bit drunk and kissed. The next day, when Carrie comes home from Sebastian's house, feeling so guilty about what she done, Maggie tells Carrie exactly what happened. Upset, Carrie tells Maggie that they aren't friends anymore and just completely ignores Sebastian, who tries to come to her house to explain what happened. Also, in this episode, Dorrit ends up losing her virginity to Miller in this kind of cute scene, as they've been talking for a while and kind of dating. But then I remember the age gap, and like she literally looks like a 12-year-old here. It's just gross. Ugh.
I knew you weren't ready. You don't have anything to prove to me. I don't mind waiting.
But I am ready.
You burst out into tears. That doesn't feel like a good thing.
When my mom died, I didn't cry. Once. I think because in a way I've been numb ever since. But not tonight. I felt everything. I felt happy. So happy I just couldn't handle it for a second. But I'm ready.
Also in this episode, because Carrie knows about Tom potentially seeing someone, she hints at her not being ready for him to date. So he decides to break things up with his new girlfriend. At the end of the episode, Carrie kind of gets off a high horse and kind of tells him that, you know what, she's actually not that bothered if he dates, as long as they kind of take it slow and they don't really meet each other anytime soon.
I'm not sure I was totally being fair.
No, you are entitled to your feelings about the gym.
But you like it, and it makes you happy. And I know Mom would want that. And it's not like Dort and I don't want you to have a, gym membership.
The episode ends with Carrie and Walt moving into Larissa's house for the summer as she's in Japan, and her focusing on interview herself and her career instead of her relationship. So beginning with season 2 episode 1, we all know that Carrie has been living at Larissa's apartment in Manhattan for the last 3 or 4 weeks of the summer with Walt. With Larissa still out of the country, Carrie has been filling in her shoes at Interview magazine full time during the day and then partying at night, living that real hot girl summer life. Real hot girl shit.
Probably better if you don't hang here too long.
We're just talking.
In front of the whole town. Things will get back to Carrie. Don't want her to get the wrong idea.
And what idea would that be?
That there could ever be something going on between us?
Oh, please.
She has not seen or spoken to Sebastian or Maggie since the falling out, but by a chance encounter during the 4th of July weekend. Carrie runs into Sebastian when he tags along with Donna to the city to meet Donna's cousin, Samantha Jones, who is an older woman in her late 20s who co-manages a rock nightclub. Carrie declines going out with them and instead goes to a regular hangout where her purse gets stolen. She later has a chance meeting with Samantha when she goes to the club to find them. Samantha agrees to help her out as she's locked out of her apartment. This is the start of a quite cute friendship, as we all know. Back in Castleberry, Mouse invites Wes as her date to a local golf and tennis club 4th of July event where Maggie is working there as a waitress. Mouse is openly hostile to Maggie for obvious reasons. But they eventually reconcile when Maggie confides in Mouse that she's only working at a country club to pay for college, as she fears being stuck in Castleberry. Also, Tom finds out that Dorothy's dating Miller and wants to meet him. Dorothy tries to prevent this from happening, but Miller goes behind her back and meets Tom, where he makes a good impression. With that, Tom gives them his permission to date. With episode 2, with Samantha now crashing at Carrie and Waltz's, and for the past couple of weeks, they are both forced to kick her out when she makes herself a little bit too comfortable. Also, Walt summons up the courage to tell Bennett about how he feels when Bennett accompanies him to a VIP concert to celebrate his 18th birthday. Kind of sketch again, another grown man dating a barely legal child, but okay. Things go wrong before Bennett can respond when Walt and the rest of the group come down with a case of food poisoning.
You like pain? What?
Oh, yeah. That's right, baby. Just like I like it.
Excuse me?
Not you, honey. I'm working.
But prior to this, Sam and Mouse meet for the first time, and Sam wastes no time giving Mouse sex tips or how to get things more spicy with Wes, as she's kind of being shy about it. Also in Castleberry, Sebastian deals with his estranged father coming back into town when he realizes that his dad is more interested in business than father-son bonding.
Is there anything I can do?
You can tell me why you're here.
Carrie finally speaks to Sebastian for the first time in a while, and she tells him that though she's still mad at him, she still loves him.
You broke me. You broke my heart. And I hate you because I still love you. And I hate myself even more for it.
Also, Tom invites his new girlfriend, Deb, to spend a weekend at his house with the kids out of the house. And it goes pretty well, actually.
Have you ever considered consulting a doctor about your disorder?
You're lucky you're so cute and that I'm so high on Haagen-Dazs because that's the corniest joke I ever heard.
No, seriously.
And at the end of the episode, Walt and Bennett decide to give things a go. In episode 3, Larissa returns from vacation and gives Carrie and Walt inspiration in this new Zen lifestyle she's adopted while she was in Japan. Carrie and Samantha meet for the first time and they take an instant dislike to each other as Samantha's streetwise demeanor clashes with Larissa's new prim and proper routine.
You're not gonna get to me. I am calm, detached, totally zen. I feel nothing for you.
Nothing, huh?
Nothing.
Being back in school, Carrie and Sebastian run into each other, and to no one's surprise, they hook up again. But this time, Sebastian decides that, you know what, let's wrap it up. And he decides to let her go for good. Air quotes on for good. I can't decide where to add this makeup to the counter. You know what, I'm gonna add it. They deserve it. Mouse tries to get Maggie to look at more college options despite her lack of interest. And she also apologizes to Walt, which is nice to see. And Tom is offered a job back at Harlan's law firm in New York, which he accepts. In episode 4, Carrie pitches Larissa an article on a New York rising playwright called Adam Weaver, but he proves quite difficult yet fascinating.
You laughed, aren't you? During the funeral scene.
I'm sorry. I know, it was inappropriate. The truth is, it reminded me of my mother's funeral. I laughed there too, which was even more inappropriate.
Really? I can't watch this.
Carrie's job is on the line when she complicates things by getting involved with him. And I mean, look at the material. Can you blame her? She is just a girl. She decides to choose love over career, and things go pretty well for them. They start dating. Also, Bennett's rules in his relationship with Walt forces Bennett to acknowledge his real feelings when Walt gets asked out on a date, and he realizes that maybe he wants something more a bit serious and less casual and open.
Hi, I'm Carrie. It is so nice to finally meet you. And you must be Dorrit.
Must be.
Also, Tom and his girlfriend decides that it's finally time for their families to meet. Dorrit and Carrie find a common enemy in Deb's ill-behaved young son. Also in this episode, Sebastian is now seeing an older woman to get over Carrie, and Maggie kind of makes a move on him.
Well, my complications are over. I'm ready to be with somebody my own age.
She not talking to me like...
In episode 5, Sebastian learns that his mother is getting remarried, and he turns to Carrie's dad's help to make sure that she's legally protected. But with Carrie and Adam now dating, Carrie is thrown for a loop when she learns that one of his plays is actually based on his ex-girlfriend, Katia, and she feels kind of intimidated.
Who cares? It's not like he's sleeping with her. It's like we're both sleeping with her. Like she's right there.
They have another issue when she discovers that Weaver secretly read her journal. After reading that Carrie's a virgin and apologizing relentlessly, Carrie and Wheeler get together and Carrie experiences intimacy for the first time.
If I'm gonna be your first, I want it to mean something.
Yeah, I know. I just don't want it to become this big thing that just takes over.
But I want you to be open with me. I really like you, Carrie. So much. And your first time should be special. Hopefully it can be special with me.
Also, Miles volunteers to help with the homecoming float, but tries to distance herself from Wes when he wins Homecoming King and bonds with Donna, who's Homecoming Queen. She opens up to West about how she feels sad that she only has a few friends and is unpopular, and he affirms her in a really cute way. Like I said, I really, really like the relationship. It's just really cute and wholesome and nerdy, and it just works for them.
You're a great friend. I can't think of anything more important than that. It's not how many people like you, it's the quality of those relationships.
I know. You're right.
Wow. Did you actually just admit that I was right? I might need this in writing. This is a date for the record books.
Also, Samantha finds herself a new place to live, a painting studio, when she's paid to model nude for the students. Which is very, very Samantha, that we know in Sex and the City. When it comes to Dory and Miller, Dory is starting to feel smothered by him, especially when he bonds with her dad and he seems to have it a bit jealous. Donna gives her some advice, which results in her ending the relationship. And not gonna lie, she's pretty savage about it. And you know what? Good for her.
Dory, you can't break up with me. I'm still in love with you.
You're just in love with the idea of me. We'll get over it.
I just wrote a new love song for you. Just let me get my guitar. I'll play it.
Miller, don't embarrass yourself. You should go. Now.
They didn't tell you? In episode 6, Carrie has writer's block for an essay she has to write for class. Weaver encourages her to write about something she fears the most, but when Carrie decides to write about sex, he discourages her and plants doubt in her head and tries to help her figure out something to write, as he feels that that topic is too basic and not good enough. This results in them having an argument, and she decides that the relationship isn't healthy because she doesn't want someone that pressures her and pushes her. She wants a relationship to be a place of comfort. And you know what? Fair enough.
But maybe I don't want my boyfriend to be the guy cranking the rack in my head tension. Maybe I want my boyfriend to be the one who makes me feel safe and cocooned. Suddenly, I realized this itchy coat and Weaver were the same thing. They made me feel uncomfortable in my own skin.
Also, Maggie and Sebastian start to grow closer when Maggie finds out that she's pregnant and Simon literally doesn't care and basically tosses her aside. Now broken up with Weaver, Carrie feels a potential love interest again with Sebastian, of course, after seeing his jacket in her closet. She drives to his house to tell him about her feelings, but leaves instead when she sees Maggie sleeping on the couch. Meanwhile, Mouse is apprehensive about applying to safety schools, but West thinks it's a good idea to be on the safe side. Also in this episode, Walt ends up accidentally macing himself to keep himself safe when Bennett moves into a dangerous neighborhood. And lastly, Larissa and Sam plan to have a threesome with Harlan, but end up making a sex tape with each other when Harlan is stuck in traffic and can't make it. In episode 7, Weaver mouths Carrie to page 6 to prevent people thinking anything bad about him, especially after they break up. Yeah, he turns out to be another dickhead.
When Adam Weaver, the wunderkind playwright, was asked what his next opus was based on, he succinctly said a play about my ex, a diminutive, suburban poser who I broke up with. Ouch.
Sam brings Carrie, Bennett, and Walt to like an elite party that has a raffle to win a free trip to Paris as a prize, which Carrie actually ends up winning, but Sam has to take a place as Carrie has to run to the hospital to see Mags. Basically, she's collapsed and rushed into surgery for an eclectic pregnancy. I don't think I pronounced that right, but something like that. Before she leaves the party, she meets a journalist who wrote about her and says awful things about Weaver as revenge. Before all this has happened though, Sebastian lets people think that he's the father of Maggie's baby to keep Maggie's secret about who the real father is because she's terrified of her parents finding out and being in trouble.
She wouldn't want her parents, especially her dad, to know she was involved with Simon.
Do you not understand what people will think of you?
The only thing I care about is that you know the truth.
When Carrie finds out the truth, she's taken back by this, and they talk about things and confess that they're both still in love with each other and get back together again. Also, Mouse is worried that she and West are boring and tries to spice up the relationship by planting a surprise in West's backpack. But she freaks out when the surprise, which is basically a topless picture of her, goes missing. She ends up flashing the team after being offended that no one guessed it was her when it was found in the locker room.
That's my girl.
And also in this episode, Walt helps Bennett make new contacts in the industry as he feels underappreciated and taken for granted by Interview magazine, which leads to him actually getting a raise. In episode 8, Carrie is excited when she gets a chance to interview the CEO of Bungo's Jeans. But Larissa tells her that this interview is Carrie's last chance to land a piece in the magazine or she'll have to be let go, so this adds more pressure. Mouse finds out that she got into Harvard, but this puts an end to her relationship with West when she couldn't just let it go. Basically, he tells her that he didn't apply because he wanted her to have the chance, and she kind of doesn't like this, so I mean, I see both sides.
And if I had applied, I would have been the one accepted, not you.
That's not true.
Please. We have the same grades, same extracurricular. And then I'm an athlete, I led her in 3 sports, have a single mom and a brother in a wheelchair. It would have been me. And since I love you, and I know that Harvard is your lifelong dream, I bowed out. So call off the pity party.
Meanwhile, Walt is kicked out of the house by his conservative parents when they kind of find out about his sexual orientation. He moves in with Carrie, where he finds a surprising father figure in Tom.
Did you say him?
I'm a sicko, praise I'm a teenager.
You're not mad at me?
Also, Maggie finally comes clean to her neglectful father about the past relationship with Simon and what happened, and this results in him getting fired and losing his fiancée. He goes to the school to confront her while Sebastian and Carrie are there. Sebastian and Simon end up getting in a fight, which results in Sebastian getting expelled.
Bet you're proud to be with a man who knows how to stand up for what's right.
I am. Very.
At first he fears his father will be disappointed in him, but it turns out that his father supports him and thinks he did the right thing. With Sebastian no longer in school, he tells him that they can both now move to California, and Carrie and Sebastian decide to try a long-distance relationship and hope things will work out. At the end of the episode, we get some good news that Carrie's article is published in Interview magazine.
Christmas, Carrie Bradshaw, published journalist.
Merry Christmas.
We also see Sebastian arrive in California with his dad, and we see Walt and Bennett celebrate Christmas with Samantha and Larissa, and that's also really quite cute. In episode 9, we see Carrie and Sebastian are struggling with the long distance thing, as they always seem to miss each other. I'm not gonna lie, life without mobile phones seemed crazy. That's just not being able to access someone at the touch of your fingertips. Crazy.
I guess I just hope he'd make a huge romantic gesture and drop everything to be with me. It's been almost a month since we've seen each other.
It's not like he lives around the corner. Laguna's far.
I know. I'll be right with you one sec.
Miss me, Bradshaw?
Sebastian ends up flying back to surprise Carrie and decides to move to New York to be closer to her. Larissa lets him stay in her apartment as she's now engaged with Harlan, so I think she's moving out. Also, Tom asks Harlan to do his prenup as he wants to be legally covered as he feels like he's too under Larissa's spell. And you're not gonna lie, I don't blame him, because same. Also, when Tom goes away to sort out the prenup thing, leaving the house empty, Dora throws a party to impress a new boy that she has an eye on. In this episode, we see Mouse and Donna bond over their respective lives. Now that Mouse has achieved her life goal of getting to Harvard, she feels empty and bored, while Donna is also bored, having dated all the eligible guys in school, so they kind of bond over that. Episode 10 is a Valentine's Day episode, and we see Carrie become resentful when Sebastian breaks their dinner dates because of a work opportunity, as he has a chance to meet an investor for his new skateboard clothing business that he's starting. Also, Walt and Bennett get devastating news that could change their future together when Bennett learns that one of his former ex-boyfriends has AIDS. This news sends Walt into a panic, and he flees from Bennett and the city, refusing to deal with anything or even get tested for the virus. He ends up breaking up with Bennett.
I knew this was a bad idea. I didn't want to come here tonight. I knew I'd hate it. This place, these people, this isn't me. This isn't who I am, and now we're talking about AIDS?
Walt, calm down.
No, I can't. I have to get out of here. I'm sorry, I have to go.
We also see Samantha and Larissa's continuing feud when Larissa gets jealous over Samantha being hired to nude model as Lady Godiva at a gay club.
She's not a diva. I am. Now get off of the horse.
No!
Also in this episode, we see an insecure and lost Maggie accidentally enlist in the US Army, and she's forced to ask for Mouse and Donna's help to get her consent form back. They sneak into the base to get it, and I think they're successful, but she also meets a potentially new love interest in this older man called Pete. Again, her and old men, I don't get it. Lastly in this episode, Tom decides to use reverse psychology on Dora to encourage her to date this nice guy who's kind of similar to him, and he thinks he'd be good for her. Prior to that, she'd only seen him as a friend because he's like a goody-goody two-shoes and that's not her type. But, I don't know, I kind of like this for them. This is not the same guy she threw a party for, though, because that guy also turned out to be a dickhead.
Date? Well, I thought you guys were friends.
No. I mean, yes, we are, but it's just like on principle. And if I did decide to date him, you couldn't stop me.
Over my dead body?
In episode 11, we see Larissa getting onto Bennett for slacking off since his breakup with Walt. This forces Carrie to cover for him as they are pretty good friends. But when Bennett takes advantage of Carrie's generosity by continuing to skip work and take credit for her work, she takes it upon herself to utilize his contacts and assignments to level up her career. He ends up getting fired.
But would it have killed you to maybe have given me at least a little credit? I don't know, told her I was helpful or did some research or something.
We also see that Carrie has gotten accepted into NYU. Potentially, we see that Sebastian's future could change when his father arrives in town and asks to borrow some money from his trust fund, claiming that he is now broke from a lifetime of bad investments. Tom gets taken advantage of by a female lawyer, which prompts Dory to offer him help to be just as manipulative.
God, you're right. Man, I'm screwed.
Well, lucky for you, you have a daughter who's just as good at manipulating people as this lady is.
Also, Maggie seeks Mouse and Donna's advice with a potentially new boyfriend when he comes to visit her. She decides to take things slow this time when she realizes that she confuses love with sex.
The fact is, I sleep with people way too soon. Or people who are just wrong for me and think it's love. Because I totally confuse sex with love, and then I get my heart broken.
And lastly, Samantha finds herself entangled with a married man.
Hi, Sally. I should apologize for the way I ran off before. I'm Samantha. I'm having sex with your husband.
In episode 12, it's prom night, and the friends get together, perhaps for the last time before graduation. Also, Dorrit tags along with her new boyfriend, Scott. Larissa convinces Carrie to rethink college by offering her a full-time job at Interview magazine.
Why waste 4 years going to university in order to get a job that you've already been given? And one I fought for you to have, I might add.
And I'm honored and thrilled you did that.
So why haven't I heard a resounding yes from you yet?
When Tom learns about this, being traditional man he is furious and threatens to financially cut Carrie off if she doesn't choose to attend college first.
To continue to still be on my health insurance, or does your job provide benefits? What's your salary? You get overtime?
I don't know about any of those things yet.
Okay, all right. Do you even have a contract?
This is one of the rare occasions where I'm actually on his side because she sounds ridiculous not knowing any of this information. I get she's just a girl, but come on.
No reason.
Did you get into Columbia?
Maybe.
Are you smart? Be quiet. You are smart. I knew there had to be a reason why I liked you.
There's also this funny bit about Mouse having to conceal the fact that she knows that Donna is smart, and then at the prom she gets outed, and it's just ridiculous, but kind of the humor of the show.
Give me that tiara, secret nerd. What are you doing? Don't mess with the hair. You don't get to be prom queen based on a lie.
What the hell is going on?
Did you know that she is smart? She isn't one of us. She got into Columbia.
After some time apart, Walt rethinks his current situation and decides to get back together and make up with Bennett. He learns to really accept himself, and he also gets to make up with his father, as his father learns that he has to accept his son for who he is because they are family, and he is his legacy. Also in this episode, Sebastian tries to hide something from Carrie. Basically the fact that he's been offered an amazing career opportunity for his skateboard clothing brand, which will force him to move to California. In episode 13, the series finale, the season finale, we see Carrie and her friends finally graduate from high school.
Because I've been fired.
From Interview?
No, darling. From Charivari. Of course from Interview.
What the hell happened?
Andy's fragile ego happened. The bewigged wonder can't handle anybody else in the limelight.
You didn't mention him in the piece?
We also see that Carrie has decided to go for the job at Interview instead of college, but things don't quite work out when Larissa is fired, which results in Carrie also losing her new job there. And it turns out that she can't get into NYU for at least a year as she already decided to defer. While attempting to get her life back together, Carrie temporarily moves in with Sebastian. So Samantha wants to leave the city when her ex-married boyfriend keeps stalking her, But it turns out he's left his wife and he just wants to commit to her.
You need to go back to your wife and never come back.
I left my wife. For you.
For me?
After Larissa reveals Carrie's secret about being fired to her dad, he confronts Carrie about her poor judgment and refuses to take her back home, which was very mean for a dad that's so been loving and protective. I don't know, it was just too mean. Though she agrees to try and make it independently, and they kind of make up, and things is all sweet with them. After learning about Carrie's situation, Sebastian tells her that he's actually moving to California to further his business, and he asks her to come with him. In the end, Carrie decides to stay in New York and tries to rebuild her life while focusing on writing as well as waitressing to kind of keep her on her feet.
You're not coming, are you?
I want to. But I can't.
I like this ending for them because it's open-ended, so I'm not too mad at it. Because they already tried the long distance thing before. It didn't quite work, but it worked it out. So you never know, they could end up back together. I mean, we know that they don't end up back together because she ends up having the whole Big and Aiden saga, so he clearly was just a high school boyfriend. But I liked this for them.
Bye, Bradshaw.
Goodbye, kid. That's when I realized it isn't goodbye because it feels wonderful. It's goodbye because it feels so final. Like maybe it's for good.
Also, Maggie gets engaged to a new military man, which is just very Maggie, I guess. She's talking about how she didn't want to be a housewife and be stuck in the city. I mean, be stuck in the little town. But basically what she's doing, but each to their own.
But maybe this is too soon?
Yes.
It is. You're not ready.
Yes. No. I mean, no, it's not too soon. Yes. I say yes.
Mouse and Wes get tied for valedictorian, which neither of them are happy about. But it gives them an opportunity to work things out, and they do leave things at a good place. They hook up in the last few days of high school, and yeah, they say goodbye, and it's all cute and nice, and I guess I like that for them. And lastly, we see that Harlan and Larissa get married at an airport, which is new, but I love that for them. If they like it, I love it. And yeah, that is the Carrie Diaries. And yeah, that is the Carrie Diaries. Like I said earlier, all in all, the show was decent. It had its ups and its downs. It had its good moments. It had its funny moments. Yeah, like my title says, the prequel that tried. Even though Carrie and Sebastian broke up and got back together way too frequently for my liking, I was a fan of the relationship. I thought they were cute and I liked them, yeah. For the most part, I like the style of the show. I mean, I wasn't alive in the 80s, especially not in America, so I don't know how accurate it is. But I got the 80s nostalgic vibe. I like the little... I love the 80s references they sprinkled in there that everyone knows, like the Tony Hawk being a prodigy.
I didn't know there was such thing as a skating prodigy.
Well, this guy is. Tony Hawk. Remember the name. I'm telling you, he's gonna be huge.
And talking about how like people's won't catch on. And just like emphasizing how different times were back then. And like I said earlier, I feel like the show is slow at times, especially in season 2. Like it felt like it was kind of dragging. For me, season 1 was more fun because it was new and had so much potential, but season 2 kind of felt like a bit of a drag. I didn't feel like it really brought anything new to the characters or the storylines. It didn't feel like a level up, which season 2s are usually supposed to be. I did think they had potential with Carrie not going to college and having to find herself while being financially independent. That could have been something fun, but unfortunately, they didn't get a chance to explore that in season 3. Personally, I'm not too mad at it, so I know how I feel about cancelled stuff. But yeah, I'm not really too mad. I think that says it all. And yeah, this has been a recap of the Carrie Diaries, the prequel that tried. As usual, guys, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, don't forget to comment, and don't forget to subscribe. I'd love to know your thoughts on the show if you even watched it. I feel like I'm one of like the 10 people who watched it. I'm always watching these obscure shows that I feel like no one else watched it. But if you watched it, let me know what you thought. Let me know what you thought about Carrie and Sebastian, or about Mouse and Wes, or about Zora and Miller. I would love to know your thoughts. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.